NTA language.
Jama'a masu kallon labaran NTA Hausa barkanmu da warhaka. Ni ne.
Broadcasting in the language you understand better. Our programs. Transmitting on the Star Times platform 24 hours.
Àwọn onímọ̀ nípa ètò ẹ̀kọ́ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà.
Hukumar tara kudaden haraji ta ƙasa.
Alanye na ọchịchị mba United Arab Emirates UAE.
The only channel that speaks your language.
Anyị ga-eweta akụkọ gbasara ọrịa ahụ nke wakporo obodo anyị.
Kálejì, mo kọ́kùnrin, mo kóbìnrin, mo kí ọmọdé, mo sì kí àgbàlagbà.
Mu ci gaba da yi ma rundunar sojin ƙasar nan addu'a.
Ẹ kú lẹ́yìn tèmi, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa ètò yín ètò obìnrin tó dáńgájíá.
President Buhari receives South-East traditional rulers, urges those contemplating Nigeria's breakup to have a rethink.
Senate President promises timely passage of 2017 appropriation bill soon to be presented to the National Assembly.
Government's audit identifies revenue-generating agencies in possession of 450 billion naira recoverable surpluses.
And today on Good Morning Nigeria, we focus on staying safe and alive this season, plus Super Falcons in African Women's Championship Final.
Now, the World Health Organization report indicates that Nigeria accounts for the highest fatalities of 33.7% per 100,000 population every year on road traffic deaths based on researches carried out in selected African countries.
The report, entitled Road Safety in the African Region, says that more than 1 in 4 road traffic accident deaths in Africa occur on Nigerian roads. Now, the report also adds that road traffic accidents are the third leading cause of death in Nigeria.
Although Africa was listed as the least motorized out of the 6 continents in the world, but suffers the highest rate of road fatalities of the 37 countries that the survey covered.
Now, the fatality figures for the US and Britain are said to be at 15 and 7%. Now, in addition to all of that, the statistics from the WHO as well as the Federal Road Safety Commission of Nigeria have also shown that most of the road crashes occur in the ember months. That's to say from September until December. Now, this is the period usually characterized by high social economic activities across the country.
And during this period, there are heavy vehicular movements on the roads. Statistics from the Federal Road Safety Code, that is the FRSC, further shows that an average of 11 persons are killed daily in road accidents across Nigeria during such periods as the ember months and indeed the Yuletide. And here again, what measures or strategies have been employed to check the carnage on Nigerian roads, especially at this period? That will be our first topic today on Good Morning Nigeria.
All right, Rhoda, that's to say, how do you stay safe and alive on the roads during this season? Also in the sporting arena, specifically in soccer, the Nigerian national women's soccer team, the Super Falcons, are through to the finals of this year's African Women Cup of Nations. That's AWCON. That's after they beat South Africa at 1-0 in the semi-final match. The Nigerians will now face the host, Cameroon, in the final of the tournament.
And this is the 10th time Nigeria will make the final in the 12 editions. The Super Falcons are targeting the 8th African title in Cameroon. What will stand between the Falcons and the Cup? That is what we shall be taking a look at today with our sports analysts in the course of the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria. I'm Rhoda Obo, and I join Kingsley in welcoming you to another edition of the program.
Well, I'm Kingsley Osadolo, and of course, as usual, Good Morning Nigeria reaches you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. In the course of the program, we have our companion segments: business, sports, arts and entertainment, and foreign news. We'll also, as usual, have our newspaper review. In the meantime, we are going over to the newsroom, and our caster this morning is Laure Bala Hassan. Hi, Laure.
Hi, Kingsley. Good morning and welcome to the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has reiterated the essence of national unity and urged those contemplating Nigeria's breakup to have a rethink. The president stated this while granting audience to the Council of Southeast Traditional Rulers who called on him. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports that President Buhari appealed to the monarchs from the Southeast to persuade their people to give his government a chance to rebuild Nigeria for genuine prosperity. President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration's priority focus of securing the country, fighting corruption and salvaging the economy are not only unchanged but achievable in spite of prevailing challenges. The president stated this while receiving letters of credence from new ambassadors of the United States and the Kingdom of Morocco. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports that the president assured the diplomats of Nigeria's willingness to improve bilateral relations with their countries. Just as he said, the nation's fundamental problems are being addressed. The 2017 appropriation bill, soon to be presented to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari, will be passed in good time for implementation. Senate President Bukola Saraki told State House correspondents after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors. He said necessary consultations have already been made between the executive and the legislature in preparations of fiscal documents.
Once the documents come to us, we are ready. I think this time round, a lot of work has taken place behind the scenes. Been a lot of more collaboration, and I think that you will see the result in the time frame to take after the president's releases.
You have a resolution on the MTF?
Well, that's still work in progress. I'm sure very soon that also will be concluded. But I'm very optimistic that this year's budget will be passed much sooner than what we saw in 2016. Well, I haven't seen the details yet until President lays it. Once President will usually.
How soon will that be?
Well, I'm sure within the next week, 10 days, we'll probably get it.
State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports that this is the second time Senate President Bukola Saraki is visiting the presidential villa this week. The INEC Bill Amendment Act has been stepped down to another legislature day for further deliberation at Thursday's Senate plenary. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayanu reports that the session featured varied contributions in determining how best to use card readers during elections.
I believe strongly that the issue of the card reader is something that we must look at twice. And we should take a look, realizing the state of technological development in Nigeria.
There were electoral bodies from all over the world, including third world countries, where power is not even as stable as Nigeria. And there at that conference, they used the participants who are present as guinea pigs to test the card reader. And by the time we all left, we were convinced that it would work.
And still on the legislature, the House of Representatives has passed its second reading, a bill for an act to amend the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act of 2004. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the bill seeks to provide for sanctions against agencies who fail to remit their specified percentage of revenue to the Federation account.
To enhance the revenue profile remittances into the Federation account.
So consolidated account is the one you are likely talking about. The Federation account is the account that if you pay money into, local government and states too, we have opportunity to take a share out of it.
It will then be clear that if you tamper with what ought to come to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, then you go in for it.
These revenue generating agencies, they actually need better supervision.
By the time we get back to the public hearing level, we should be able to do justice to it, and more input will be allowed so that we can do the needful.
In continuation of his inspection of industrial centers, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo has visited some local manufacturing companies in Ogun State, where he reiterated the Buhari administration's commitment to supporting them. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that the factory, when completed, is to utilize 50% of its raw materials from the local farmers.
At the Honeywell plant, the sorghum plant, the feed mill plant is fantastic. It's also going to make a huge difference.
The federal government says of the 33 revenue-generating agencies so far audited, 17 have been identified as being in possession of 450 billion naira outstanding and recoverable surpluses. Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun, in a briefing in Abuja, said it is necessary that organizations adhere strictly to the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, which provides guidelines and controls to elicit greater accountability and transparency in fiscal operations.
In their account. Maybe in the past they were placing this money in the bank. So some agencies actually have the money. It's just a question of paying. Some do not have the money. In that case, we have to look at them and work with them on how the monies can be repaid.
In addition, the minister said all government agencies must submit a budget to be approved by the National Assembly or forfeit their allocation. To this end, a circular has been issued to the relevant agencies to comply with, and recovery committee chaired by the Accountant General of the Federation has been set up to recover the outstanding 450 billion naira operating surpluses. Acting Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has urged the judiciary to speed up trials of all cases of corruption before it, so as to make progress in fighting the social malaise. It was during discussion with the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, to solicit support for its new campaign strategy tagged Women Against Corruption, which is to be launched on the 7th of December by the wife of the President, Aisha Buhari. Successes recorded in collaboration with the EFCC in prosecuting oil theft cases and other illegal maritime activities, Vice Admiral Ibas said a template for economic activities within the nation's maritime domain is in the offing to guide foreign freight operations and boost revenue generation. And that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria will continue with Kingsley and Rhoda shortly after this break.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Germs, oil, and dirt cause blemishes and uneven skin tone. You need Dettol Even Tone. It removes 99.9% of germs and is formulated to remove excess oil and dirt, helping to reduce blemishes.
Dettol Mom. She only trusts Dettol antiseptic liquid to kill 100 illness-causing germs, and it's recommended for cuts and scrapes. Worry less and love more. Don't just be any mom, be a Dettol mom. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try new Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in under 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. New Nurofen Express works at the source of pain. Fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust. Nigeria joins the rest of the world in going digital. This means Nigeria is moving from analog terrestrial TV broadcasting to digital. Now, digital broadcasting gives you clearer pictures, crystal clear sound, and a chance for more channels and more shows to watch. Digital TV is a whole new experience for you and a rich harvest of digital events for the nation. Come aboard, Nigeria going digital.
Coming to Abuja soon.
Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the NTA. Now let's do, or should I say, let's talk business. President Buhari to host the 11th Africa Economic Conference, and Nigeria's stock market maintains growth. We'll get more details from our correspondent now, Leah Katumba Batunde.
Agriculture will once again be in focus as Nigeria plays host to policy makers and other development stakeholders on the African continent next week. A statement by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa (ECA) states that President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to open the Africa Economic Conference in Abuja on Monday. Tagged Feed Africa towards agro-allied industrialization for inclusive growth. The conference is jointly organized by the African Development Bank AFDB, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa ECA, and the United Nations Development Programme UNDP. The 11th in the series, the conference will provide an opportunity to discuss Africa's agricultural transformation by presenting the latest empirical evidence on how to leverage agro-industrialization for feeding Africa and promoting inclusive growth. It will also provide critical thinking on how policymakers, development partners, the private sector, civil society organizations, and the academia should support the planning and implementation of these industrialization strategies. The Nigerian Stock Exchange maintained gains Thursday as oil and gas stocks drive prices. It advanced by 0.09% to close at 25,265.08 points, while the market capitalization closed at 8.691 trillion naira. 773 million equities worth 1.91 billion pence in 2,334 deals. Wema Bank led activities. It traded a whopping 542 million shares and was followed by Distant Diamond and Access Banks. Mobile, Forte Oil and Portland Paints led the green side, while the reds were led by NACO, CCNN and UAC Properties. Meanwhile, the exchange has delisted 6 companies. The delisting is due mainly to their inability to comply with the listing rules and regulations guiding quoted companies. The affected companies include Lenners, PS Mandarins, Premier Breweries, Costain West Africa, Navitus and Nigeria Ropes Limited. And finally, a high-level symposium has kicked off in Rome, calling for actions in response to the mounting impacts of malnutrition on public health and economic development through a shift to healthier diets and food systems. That cost is estimated at $3.5 trillion per year. At the opening of the symposium, FAO Director General Jose Graziano da Silva lamented the fact that 1 in 3 people on the planet suffers from some form of malnutrition, either undernutrition or overweight and obesity. He said that no country is immune from the problems whose human, social, environmental, and economic costs are overwhelming.
National public policies are fundamental. Nutrition must be considered a public issue, a state responsibility. It's not a private thing. Consumers must be empowered to choose healthy food and diets. They must be aware of the benefits and detriments of what they are eating.
The International Symposium on Sustainable Food Systems for Healthy Diets and Improved Nutrition looks at country-level challenges and successes to shed light on effective approaches to reshaping food production, processing, marketing and retail systems to better tackle the problems of malnutrition, which blights the lives of billions of individuals and can trap generations in a vicious circle of poverty and malnutrition. With Business News, I'm Leah Kating Babatunde.
All right, thank you very much, dear Leah Katung Babatunde, for the business package on Good Morning Nigeria. Now it's time for us to take a look at the headlines in some of the papers we have this morning. All right, we like to once again let you know that this is our newspaper review segment, and we begin with the headlines. Baya Tobe will join us in discussing the headlines after we've taken some of them. Daily Sun is our first newspaper, and it has an earpiece. That's the one beside the name flag. It says, federal government cuts workers' November salary. It has a rider over tax, pension, and National Housing Fund, which now apply on gross. Details of the story can be found on page 8 of the Daily Sun. Now, late story has double-decker headline says, audit exposes 450 billion naira unremitted funds to federal government. EFCC steps in and to investigate 33 agencies. Details of the story also on page 6. Now, on the foot of the front page of the Daily Sun, we have two other headlines that we're going to take. Says, Senate okays fresh poll when candidate on verge of victory dies, and amends INEC Act and resolves APC PDP senators' rift. I've thrown away my U.S. green card and relocated. That's according to Professor Wole Soyinka. Details of that story on page 9. And a strip headline at the foot of the page says, fighting terrorism, corruption, and fixing economy, my priority, Buhari tells U.S. That's on page 3 in greater detail.
All right, now the Daily Times. On the Daily Times, just beside the nameplate, you see there, panic as soldiers begin Operation Stop and Search on Niger Bridge, and police defend action. The Daily Times. Panic as soldiers begin Operation Stop and Search on Niger Bridge. Police defend action. And the lead story on the Daily Times this morning, just Kingsley read earlier, is the same thing here. Federal workers allege pay slash. Federal workers allege pay slash. And with riders, arbitrary cut in November salaries, pension task, NHF deductions increased, action insensitive. We have not embarked on arbitrary deductions, says AGF. Now let's go down on the left hand, that will be your right hand corner then. It's House to probe 17 billion naira worth of stolen crude. That story is on page 12 of Daily Times. Also on page 12, you can read up, federal government recovers 450 billion naira operating surpluses from MDAs, and court refuses Nnamdi Kanu and others bill. That's on page 7. And finally, Group 1's Buhari impeached over IPOD killings. Dasuki El-Zaki. That's on page 12 of the Daily Sun. All right, Brian, let's get your reviews on the papers we have already. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Rhoda. Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria. I was trapped in traffic. Anyway, the stories that are trending are particularly the issue of the bail for Nnamdi Kanu. The Federal High Court in Abuja Division refused to grant bail to Nnamdi Kanu and 3 others standing trial for treasonable felony and alleged involvement in acts of terrorism. The application were based on Section 158 and 162 of the Criminal Justice Act, as well as Section 35 and 36 of the Constitution. The judge said the cases they are facing is a serious one, and therefore she cannot grant bail. She, however, said that she will grant accelerated hearing, and the case will be dispensed of within 2 months. In the meantime, the judge also dismissed the contention by the defendants that President Buhari had directed that they should not be released on bail. According to the judge, the president lacks the capacity to influence the decision of the court. The charges that they are facing are very grievous. One is for 4 of them conspired to commit treasonable felony, violating Section 4516 of the Criminal Code. The other is conspiring to broadcast on Radio Biafra, monitored in Enugu without a license. And the other is importation of a transmitter into Nigeria. 3 judges so far have handled the case. The first judge that washed his hands off was Justice Ahmed Mohammed, and later on Justice John Sohu, particularly based on the petition by the defendant to the National Judicial Council. Meanwhile, Professor Wole Soyinka has led up to his threat. Professor Wole Soyinka says, "I have thrown away my residency permit, otherwise known as green card." He was speaking at an education conference in South Africa, Johannesburg, and he said, "I had a horror of what is to come with Trump. I have thrown away the card and I have relocated. I am back to where I always belong." That is Nigeria.
All right, let's continue with the Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint newspaper has the following headlines. Noun bill, that's the National Open University bill, scales second reading at Senate. Details on page 27. And governors seal $2 million pact with Gates Foundation on polio and other diseases. North Central picks ex-sports minister Abdullahi as APC spokesman. That's on page 7. And I fled to save my life. Wada is the former governor of Kogi State. You are not saints, NLC tells Buhari's anti-graft committee. Excuse me. And lawyers profit from Halliburton's scandal. That's according to Rebado, former EFCC chair. Accuses them of scuttling Fayose, Dariye, Kalu, and others' trials. And here's Fawemi, Oshibanjo, and Falono for anti-graft stance. Now, at the foot of the front page of Blueprint is a headline, Gaydam sends snoring commissioner home. That's on page 13. Gaydam, that's the governor of Yobe State, sends snoring commissioner home.
All right, the Daily Times, or the Daily Trust is next, and the Daily Trust. On the Daily Trust now, you can see telcos grumble over data price hike reversal. That's on page 5. And also, drop Biafra idea, Buhari tells agitators. That's on page 3. And the lead story this morning is a 7 trillion naira budget can't make huge impact, says Oshibajo. 7 trillion naira budget can't make huge impact. And let's go now to the foot of the paper. Just below, we'll see the Halliburton. Aundaka frustrated EFCC, says Ribadu. That's on page 8. Saraki begs as PDP senators insist on change. That's on page 37. And finally, okay, Nigeria's crude oil export rise in third quarter. That's the good news we heard the last few days or so by.
Yes, in fact, yesterday.
All over.
Yes. The OPEC conference also excluded Nigeria from the oil drop that was granted. You know, there's a freeze in oil production. Several countries have given concessions to, and that it is hoped by January there will be an upsurge. In fact, there was a 5% increase in oil price, and as at yesterday, they are shot to $50 per barrel. But our Brent crude was about $54 per barrel. Talking about the story you read about President Muhammadu Buhari, while he was receiving the traditional rulers of the Southeast, led by Dr. Eberechi Dick, he said that the question of having another country out of Nigeria is going to be difficult. And he reiterated that the essence of unity of Nigeria to the Council of Southeast Traditional Rulers is warning that the question of having another country from Nigeria was completely a misplaced one. He advised that they should appeal to their people and persuade them that this administration will take their interests into cognizance. He identified that the Southeast will benefit from the new railway line, and the request of more programs in the Southeast will also be considered. The other story that of interest is that our Super Falcons are in the final of the African Women Cup of Nations that will be played in Cameroon tomorrow. There were some false information, false alarm raised, particularly in the social media and some newspaper, that the 4 of the players missed air crash. This was not true. The players comprising Nigerian and South African players were moving from Douala to Yaoundé for the final match. Unfortunately, the first craft that left was full, and 4 of the players could not be accommodated. The second aircraft that was to convey them was noticed to be having electrical faults, and it was smoking. Eventually, they evacuated all the passengers from the aircraft, and the 4 players, unfortunately, had to travel to Yaoundé, a 4 hours journey by route, and they are due to take on Cameroon tomorrow for the finals. And a similar development, you recall about the aircraft that crashed, the Cessna aircraft that crashed in Colombia with the Chapecoense footballers. Well, they are opponents of the Chapecoense, the Atletico of Colombia, have conceded the cup to their dead opponents. And a report also indicated that the pilot had actually indicated that he had run out of fuel while he was trying to land, and the electricals have failed. 6 of the players that survived were at the stadium. 2 of the members of the crew also survived. One of the crew members attributed his survival to adopting what is described as the brace or the embryonic position. One other survivor was the son of the coach. He was saved by his memory. He forgot his passport and missed the aircraft, and he went back home to fetch his passport, and he joined the team on a second flight, only to be presented with the dead body of his father. Back in the South America, Brazilian and Argentine clubs have donated players to the team, and the Brazilian Football Club has given them immunity for 3 seasons against immunity so that they can survive.
Immunity from what?
From relegation.
Oh.
So that for 3 seasons they are sure they won't be relegated. This is to encourage them to come up. Also, the UEFA has declared that of all their matches next week, they are going to pay their due respect for that fatal crash.
All right, thank you very much, Bayo Atoyebi, for the review this morning. We thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. It's the last for the week. Hope to see you on Monday morning.
Mondays. See you on Monday.
All right, it's still Good Morning Nigeria, and this morning we have 2 topics. The first one is staying alive and safe this Ember month. Of course, it's December already, and of course, plus the African Women Championship. Nigeria is already at the finals, which is already ongoing in Cameroon. But then when we come back, we have a couple of guests in the studio who would also join us to discuss these issues. But we'll take a break first. When we return, we'll look at these issues.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Hello, dear. You've got the first signs of a sore throat.
Yes, and I'm afraid it could be signs of a sore throat.
Don't you worry. Just act immediately, but not with non-medicated throat sweet. Take an expert product. Take Strepsils. Look at what it does to sore throat germs compared to a throat sweet. Strepsils not only stops the germs from multiplying, it even kills them.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, sore throat. Stop a sore throat early. Take Strepsils.
People think it's the ever-changing weather during Harmattan that makes them sick. Actually, it's the germs. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs, including flu.
Does your antiseptic liquid kill the germs that cause flu, diarrhea, typhoid? Dettol does. Dettol provides 10 times more protection versus leading competition. So why take a risk with your loved ones? Experience the unique culture. Enjoy the exceptional hospitality. See the enchanting spectacle. Feel the friendly warmth. Join the celebration at Abuja Carnival Reloaded. It's a celebration of culture, a world-class event, the best cultural party ever. It's a carnival of change. Abuja Carnival 2016. Theme: the creative industry, pivot to economic growth. Destination: Abuja Capital City. Date: December 3rd to 6th, 2016.
Abuja Carnival, a truly national carnival.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on Africa's largest TV network, the NTA. This morning, first of all, we'll focus on staying alive and safe this season. It's the 2nd of December 2016. And whether it's a myth or reality, the Ember Month has come to stay as part of Nigeria's popular culture. It may have its good sides, of course, but it's also known as a period when road mishaps witness an upsurge. And of course, Kingsley, you know, this has become a cause of concern to everyone.
That's correct. That's correct, Rhoda. There's no doubt about it. So how best, can you stay alive, arrive alive, and safe on the highway? That's an important question.
All right, and we have in the studio this morning as our guest to look at this issue. We have joining us Ojeme Erudrakbo. She is the Deputy Corps Marshal Operations of the Federal Road Safety Corps. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
And also we have joining us Comrade Kefas Dogoyaro. He is the Director, Information Services, National Union of Road Transport Workers. Mr. Kefas, good morning. Thank you for joining us in Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning.
All right, Kingsley.
All right, let's begin with the Deputy Corps Marshal. Of course, this is the last of the Ember months, which is usually 4 in a year. And of course, activities peak at this time of each year. What is it that the Corps has chalked up in terms of the situation on our highways?
Well, firstly, we are looking at the roads. We're working with the Federal Ministry of Works and also states to put the roads in passable condition. You notice that most of the roads are currently being worked on. We're also looking at the deployment of staff to critically areas that we have identified over time, corridors and particular traffic congestion points. We're not talking of Lokoja, we're talking of Okene, we're talking of Ore. And we're going to beef up deployment of men to those areas. We're also going to reallocate resources to those areas in terms of vehicles, in terms of tow trucks, to ensure that we are there early. Part of that is that we're going to have camps in some of these congestion points, because we realize that if we get there early enough, if we get there before the traffic, it's easier to manage than the traffic getting there before us. So the camps in those places is that we should deploy by 5 a.m., 5:30. We should have staff on ground before people start.
That's your projection for what you intend to do. We're not sure yet what your timetable is when you'll begin this deployment. I'm saying, my question is, since September, for instance, where we've had heightened vehicular traffic, what has been the situation on the highways in terms of crashes and fatalities?
They've been high, but compared to the last 2 years, they've been low. In September, we're taking up to September. In September, crashes are like 300 and death fatalities, which is less than what we had in 2015 at the same time for last year. We've done a lot of public enlightenment, we've done a lot of engagements, we've done a lot of traffic speed control, talking to the stakeholders to get them to do those things that they're supposed to do. We've done a lot of engagement with fleet owners as well. And as you're aware, we're also looking at speed limiters. Most of the fleet owners are beginning to fit that, and it has helped. If we continue with the trend that we've had in the past 3 months, we hope that we will not have too much of a spike in December, added to the deployments that we're going to put in place.
You just said that you've been engaging stakeholders, and one of the reasons you also stated too is that the speed limiters also too are being installed. That was something that came into being. That's October, in the month of October 1. How far with that? How far have you gone with the speed limiters?
There's been a lot of engagements. We've had installations being done. We've had engagement with very large fleet owners. When we mean large, we're looking at Dangote, we're looking at Lafarge, God is Good Motors, Transport Support Services, Coca-Cola. Those are the large fleet owners, and then the beer group. They are already fitting. What we've done is we've given them a window for those of them who already had this on for them to upload. But they are fitting them, and it's helping. We're also currently going to have, next week, we're going to have another meeting with the tankers. In the last 1-2 weeks, we've seen there's been a spike in tanker crashes. So that meeting is going to take place next week, Wednesday, to look at what we can do, what is happening. But we've been able to narrow that down to the independent marketers. You find that most of the tankers pay fuel when they drop, and it's usually not from the major marketers. So we're having that engagement next week, Wednesday, with the Tanker Drivers Association and some security agencies, as well as the Minister for Works.
All right, I'd like to go to Comrade Kefas now, but just before we come to you, Comrade Kefas, we'd like to just take a break, and we'll be back shortly.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria, and we are discussing staying alive and safe this season. We still have our guests here with us. The last question my colleague asked was to Ojeme Erujakwa, who is the Deputy Corps Marshal. But I would like, before we bring in Comrade Kefas Dongoyaro, who is the Director of Information Services of NOTU, that's the National Union of Road Transport Workers. Let's, again, for the benefit of our viewers, have a clear understanding of the corridors. What is the profile of the corridors? Some of them were notorious in the past for recording very high rate of crashes and fatalities. So where are we seeing the most crashes now and the most fatalities in different parts of the country?
The most crashes, we're looking at Kaduna, Abuja, Abuja, Lokoja. We're looking at Owo, Akure, Ilesha, Ipetu. That axis, Ife. We also seen a spike in the Ogbomoso, Osogbo end of it, and we've had some special patrols at those areas. Most of them, you see that the roads are being worked on, and people just drive on those roads without due care. Those are the areas that we're going to concentrate. The areas that we're also going to concentrate on. We've also seen some spike around the Sokoto, Tambua area, Katsina, Daura, and those are new areas. The trend used to be, all the traffic used to be going towards the south, because the impression or the perception was that people were moving home for Christmas. Right. But we decided that, and we looked at it, and so we were moving all our resources that way. And then the spikes went up in Katsina, Daura, Sokoto, Tambua, Zafi area. So we're not going to spread our resources thin. We're going to maintain all these corridors and ensure that our resources are kept there to also bring down the crashes.
All right, thank you very much. We are being joined at this time now by Wadata Bodinga. He is the Acting Director, Directorate of Road Traffic Services in the Federal Capital Territory. Wadata Bodinga, a pleasure to have you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. Welcome. And good morning, Bill.
All right, let's now bring in Comrade Kefas Dongoyaro, Director, Information Services of NOTU. You listen to the Deputy Corps Marshal. The experience of motorists nationwide generally has been that oftentimes, your members, that's members of the road transport workers, first of all, pay very little attention to the state of their vehicles, and then also pay little heed to road traffic signs, and are usually very reckless on the roads. What are you doing?
Yes, thank you very much. I want to correct that impression that our members are reckless on the road, because ever before the Ember Month come to place, we have been sanitizing our members. We have organized series of workshops, seminars. We go to motor parks to enlighten them to obey traffic rules and regulations. And the beauty of our members is that any person that boarded vehicle from a motor park, a driver wants to carry his passengers from point A to point B safely. That is what we have been doing, and our president has been drumming to their ears that they should be road cautious on the highways. That's what we have been doing at the National Union of Road Transport Workers.
Well, comrade, that's what you've been doing. Fine. What has been the outcome of what you have been doing? Do you have numbers?
Yes, in fact, there has been that trend. That immediately we started, that has reduced the number of crashes on the highways by our members, and we ask them, drunk driving is bad. We always cooperate with our stakeholders like the road safety, the VIOs, the police. They come to the parks to enlighten our members on a monthly basis, at times quarterly basis. That has assisted in making our roads accident-free.
All right. One of the things that people have complained about, especially this period amongst your people, is that a lot of drivers tend to do round tripping, because there are lots of passengers on ground. And of course, this is one major cause of road accidents. They don't sleep well. They're trying to, make more money. How are you going to check this period?
Yes, you see, we have our structures. The zonal structures, we operate from the unit level, and we ask our chairmen and secretaries of all the state councils to ask the drivers. You see, it's true that some drivers will want to cut corners to go to places and go back and get a lot of money. That's not the issue. It's a problem. You can get money and you don't enjoy it. But the beauty of it, if you get money, you enjoy, you can come back to your family safely. So that we have put that in place so that will assist the passengers, commuters. You take them safely, you come back, you rest. You see, that's why some vehicles have two drivers.
Sorry, when you say you have put that in place, what exactly do you mean? Are you forbidding your members now from, doing double trips all within the space of a few hours?
Yes, we are forbidding them from doing double spacing. That double spacing has been a thing of the past.
All right, thank you very much. We'll come back to you, Comrade Kefas. Now, let's move to the Acting Directorate of Road Traffic Services, Wadata Boniga. What's the situation with the traffic in the Ember months around the Federal Capital Territory? As the Corps Marshal just indicated, Abuja, Kaduna is one of the notorious corridors for crashes. Abuja, Lokoja, again, all of this fall within the FCT. And even within the city, you find all kinds of crashes in and around culverts and elsewhere.
Yeah, just like the Deputy Commercial has said, in Abuja here, what we have is actually clean roads that are very smooth, which is a contradiction of other states that has bad roads, which usually cause this accident. So these smooth roads, instead of people to use them to advantage, you can see that mostly the accidents that are actually happening in the city are mostly man-made, let me just put it, because it's mostly due to overspeeding, particularly in the city, and then disregard to traffic rules and regulation, e.g. traffic light, which we have put a lot of measures now in place to checkmate, as well as on-roadworthy vehicles that are plying the road in the city. These are mostly what constitute the causes of accident, particularly in the city mostly, as against the other factors elsewhere. So that's why we are trying to check particularly the issue of speed, which is very difficult to track down, because somebody who is speeding, meaning that because of the absence of certain CCTV and co, it is always very difficult to track the man, except if you want to do the same thing that he is doing. So what we do is we take his number, we equally go to our platform. Every vehicle that is registered in the FCT, we have their documentation. We can go to the platform, we will see your name, we'll see your number and the area you reside. And I think with this kind of platform, we will be bringing those kind of people if they refuse to come, because we usually call them.
Is there any form of enlightenment? I say so because just before the program started, that was one thing I was trying to tell my colleague, Kingsley. I said it's a serious issue, especially in Abuja. I see people running as though they're going to the end of the world. And then you ask them, they tell you the roads are good. And almost on every curve or, a bend in Abuja, there's always a vehicle that has run, off the road. And they're very notorious, but especially around the city. Is there anything? Because some people are, especially this period in Abuja, people are going to move out of town. So the roads even become freer than what it used to be. And you see lots of people speeding. Is there any form of enlightenment?
Yeah, we are doing our possible best to make sure that people are enlightened. But you will agree with me that this kind of issues has to do with attitude, as well as the discipline of the motoring public themselves. Because we should take into cognizance that whatever you want to do at that very end, it is only when you are there that you can be able to do it. Meaning that people should learn to safeguard their own lives and then the life of others, because this kind of activity is putting other road users at risk. And we are doing our possible best, particularly in the issues of commercial motoring public, to reach out to them, to garages where they stay. The private vehicles are not an easy catch, but we equally develop a program that we call closed shop operation. This closed shop operation is usually done on Mondays and Wednesdays. In the closed shop operation, we close our activities for the office. Everybody will come out. That one is advocacy. So what we usually do is we stop you if you are going. If you have an offense, we tell you that, look, you have a cracked windscreen. You need to actually fence it, that it is dangerous to you. That time we are not actually booking, but it's just a kind of advocacy and enlightenment. So that we have been doing every week, Monday and Wednesday. And we have been doing it just to reach out to the private.
Let me ask this question, because I mean, say the FCT here and perhaps elsewhere in other parts of the country, you find VIO, road traffic staff, usually seeking out vehicle particulars from the motorist and so on and so forth. What kind of equipment do you have other than your tow trucks? What kind of, you don't have radar guns?
Yeah, certainly we don't really have radar guns, just like you put it. But our own system in the FCT is a kind of robust system of registration, which we continue to upgrade. There are certain activities that we have now tried to put in place, which in the nearest future, this issue of even trying to waive vehicle and start asking of issues will be a thing of the past. Meaning that as you are coming, if it is the issue of particulars, we will be able to know if we have you in our database, because now we have captured enough vehicles, almost running like in this year alone, we registered close to 100,000+ vehicles, meaning that we have a resourceful database of the vehicles that are moving within the city. So we will be able to capture you and know as you are coming that whether your particulars is updated or not. And you can see from, if we register you now, 2 weeks from time, we'll send you a text. It's automatic. It will come to remind you that in 2 weeks' time, you need to come and change your particulars. We introduce that.
All right, thank you very much. I just would like the Deputy Corps Marshal to respond to this. In the early years of the Corps, you had radar guns, and these were deployed on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, for instance. But these days, I doubt if your officers have any radar gun in their possession to check motorists who are violating speed limits. What's happening?
We also have vehicles that have cameras in them. These are deployed along some corridors. In the next week, we are recalling some of the radar guns. We recall them for servicing, and they will be deployed by next week. But like I said, we are going to be deployed along corridors that are critical. That's the Abuja, Lokoja corridor, the Lagos-Ibadan corridor. We do have them, and we're going to use them.
All right.
I'm sorry, okay. Brother, just before we move on, again, I mean, it's one thing for you to have the radar guns, another thing for a motorist to know exactly what the speed limit is on a particular stretch of a corridor. Are you concerned about the street furniture or the highway furniture? I mean, milestones are not there. You don't have speed limit signs indicating whether it's 100 or 80 or 60. Are you concerned about this? And if so, have you moved on to seek interagency collaboration for the highway furniture to be appropriately erected?
We have. There's a committee working at state levels, FRSC and the Federal Controllers of Works. We have a signage plant. The FRSC has a signage plant in Gwagwalada that is working and is being patronized by the federal government. And these roads furnitures are going to be put in place, especially the speed limit signs and all of that. Some states have already ordered, and I think by Christmas, most of them, especially on the federal highways, will be there. We're concerned with that, but we're working with the agency involved to do it.
All right. I was actually, I was going to ask you earlier on while you were talking, you indicated that if we look at, based on the record of the last 2 years, that's 2015-14, that the road crashes are quite low this year, especially between what you have seen between the month of September and now. What do you think is responsible, even though it is reduced based on what you have said, the records that you have? But of course, you've been getting reports. What do you think has been responsible for the road crashes that you have seen?
Reducing. I think people are more conscious. People are more careful, not as much as...
No, what do you see as the cause of the accidents that you have seen?
Most of them are speed related.
Okay.
Most of them are speed related because you have a lot of lone crashes. You have fatigue because we do investigate crashes with a threshold of over 6 deaths. And most of it is fatigue. You have loss of control. Somebody's tired, he falls asleep, or there's a tire burst. It's speed related. If we take out speed out of the mix, then it's going to reduce significantly. But is also, like the acting director said, is a lot of attitude. We have a lot of impatience. We have a lot of, I want to get there on time, and people tell you the roads are bad. I agree that the roads are bad. But if the road is bad, then we should use them better. But then the roads are bad and people are driving 140 on the bad road. And that's attitude. There's nothing you can really do about it. But we are looking at enlightenment going a step further. We're looking at churches, we're looking at mosques. This month alone, we've been to like maybe 20 churches in Abuja, and it's like that across the country. Because it's not just the commercial drivers. Commercial drivers are easy to meet. We can go to the park, we can talk to them. But people like you and I, you don't see them at the motor park. So we hope that if we go to churches, we go to traditional institutions, we can talk to people.
Are you still testing for drunk driving on the highway?
We are. We do that at the motor parks with the
at the before they set off.
Before they set off.
Okay.
For this season, we're going to do that at Ore, those areas where they stop, and at Natako in Lokoja, where people stop. So we find that if you've had something to drink and you don't meet that blood alcohol level, then we don't let you move until at least it's gone down significantly. Or if there's, like you said, if there's a spare driver in the vehicle, then we'll allow that driver to move.
Okay, Deputy Commissioner, thank you very much. Comrade Kefas Tungoyaro, once again, from your perspective, your members, I mean, when they are unfortunate to be involved in any crash, I'm sure your organization keeps a log of what happens. What are the commonest causes of road crashes that some of your members have been involved in? And those who survived, by the way.
Well, thank you. Like the commercial expertise said, you see, the problem of accidents on our highways is caused by our roads. The roads are bad. The roads are not good. There are a lot of potholes all over the place. When you talk of Enugu, Port Harcourt Road, all over like Kaduna, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, you name it, it is a problem to motorists. This is always the bane of accident on our highways. And that's why I said earlier we ask our drivers to be very cautious on the highway and obey traffic rules so that they arrive to their destination safely.
Yeah, but the point has also been made here by our other guests who are here with you, saying that it is not, the roads are bad, but the way some motorists also drive on those bad roads, it's been identified as one of the causative factors. That's when you see somebody, you know, going well over 120 or 140 kilometers an hour, and the next thing is bang.
Yes. Our members, we have warned them severally. And you see, the biggest factor, like you rightly said, they go to churches and mosques. You see our members, you enlighten them, you check drunk driving. But there is problem of our motorists, Nigerians, I can drive myself. I can drive myself mostly in the cities. Somebody during this ember month, during this festive period, they will just put their vehicle on the road. No proper maintenance, I want to reach my village. It's cause problems on the highways. And I think this enlightenment should be taken to the churches, as rightly said, so that commuters, drivers, motorists should be very cautious on the highway. At times, a commercial driver may be going at the speed, normal distance. Somebody I can drive myself will just cause commotion on the highway.
Well, I mean, for the benefit of our viewers, I can drive myself means that, I mean, you own your own vehicle, and then instead of getting a professional driver to drive you, you say, look, you're going to handle it yourself. Of course, if you have been trained to drive, and if you are in the right frame of mind to drive, you have the right aptitude. Yeah. You can be on the road. But I suppose what comedy is talking about is, you know, you're not very alert, and then you're struggling to be on the road. Of course, you are a danger both to yourself and to other road users. But one point that I would like us to address, overloading. Overloading. Why is it, or why does it appear that the traffic control authorities, whether VIO, road safety, or even the regular traffic wardens, appear to overlook cases of overloading? I mean, it's whether about passengers or cargo. Why is that so, the Deputy Commissioner?
It appears so. It is so. But we are doing a lot on that. Last month we had a special operation just for overloading. And a lot of vehicles were stopped, and passengers and goods were dropped. But you are not on the road. The Onitsha end, for instance, sometimes if we're on the road and they know you're going to stop them, then they wait until it's night, and then they move. We don't work at night. We're not armed. We don't have any security, any backup. We are working, we're having a meeting with the IG on Monday. Is one of the things we want to talk about. If we can get security, then we can work at night. Because right now, even during the day, we have our staff are knocked down in an attempt to stop an overloaded vehicle. We lost 3 staff in one day in Talata Mafara with a civil defense officer who was assigned to us. And the case is on now. So because of that, we cannot afford to work at night. But during the day, we do try, and we do stop them. We do stop them, we do offload. But as you're stopping one, we're not on all the roads. We can't be everywhere. So you find that is an issue. We're working with some of the state governments. We have some operations that we're planning with Kaduna State Government, Kano State Government, Katsina State Government to check the incidences of overloading. And theirs is not just even overloading of goods. You have people in the boots of the vehicles. And they use the small Vetra and small Golf vehicles. And people are actually in the boots of those vehicles, sometimes with goods, sometimes with animals. And we're working with the government to bring that to a stop.
But this has been on for so many years. Why has it been difficult to control this overloading of vehicles? Why has it been difficult? It's
I think, if I'm going with this, the people themselves, I mean the commuters, should equally do their part in this. They should resist overloading themselves. It's their right. They should resist it, but they are equally encouraging it by joining the drivers to overload. The commuters should equally know that it is their right to refuse overloading in the garages.
You can't take that, because a lot of times I've seen instances in the public parks where people insist that, look, driver, you can't carry more than 3, can't carry more than 2, and they tell you just, get off the vehicle if you ain't going.
I think whatever somebody said, you must think of your own life. Entering the booth and mixing goods with passengers, I think even the commuters, not only the drivers, cannot justify it by whatever means. However, the law enforcement agency are doing their possible best. But these people, I tell you, just like the Deputy Commercial has said, they know how to evade particularly the law enforcement agencies. If they know you are on ground, they will either take through the other parts there you will not see them and bust in other areas, which they will try as much as possible to make sure that they are not seen, they are not caught. That is why I think the best thing is to actually do more and attack this issue of overloading on the spot where it has been carried out, that is in the garages. I think the enforcement should do more in the garages than outside, because that is where actually the thing is happening. On our own, if we see any overloaded vehicle, particularly if it is passengers, we will drop it from there. And we will ask you to pay. The driver, we have met several lessons on that. We will tell him that pay the passengers his money, let him wait for another vehicle, and then we will try to equally advise the passenger. Next time, don't board an overloaded vehicle, because you are endangering yourself and equally other people that are inside the vehicle. So I think that is what we have been doing on our side.
Comrade Kefas Dongoyaro, why is it that members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers have not overcome this urge of overloading their vehicles? I mean, ever since I grew up, I've always seen them, vehicles have been overloaded at the parks. I mean, it's been on and on. I'm sure you remember in the past when they used to have 404 pickup, 404 pickup, they want to construct, with the cabin, like they overload it. I mean, this more than 45 years later, it's still happening. Why is that so?
In fact, the trend is very sad. Sad in the sense that we are not happy seeing members overloading their vehicles. You see boots being loaded with a lot of loads. Like rightly said, you see human beings in the boots of vehicles. We are always saddened about this development, and we have asked all our various motor parks to stop that. And again, it's something to ask, and it's something to strengthen the laws. I think the law enforcement agents should also be up and doing. I could remember a governor of Jigawa passed a law in the assembly that no vehicle should overload in its own territory. And that law was very effective. If you are caught, you should be punished as when due. And that thing was very effective. So I think that law to the Nigerian government, the state government should strengthen their laws, and the law enforcement should be given the power to arrest any erring driver, because it's not good to put human beings in a boot. If they will carry animals in their boots too. You see donkeys, camels, like in Niger State. We have been asking them to stop that trend. It's not proper. It's not good.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Kefas. Deputy Corps Marshal, Comrade Kefas raised an issue earlier, you know, the issue of I can drive myself. What do you make of the view that a lot of people say that, especially at this time, especially private private vehicle owners, that a lot of them don't know how to drive, and the proliferation of driving schools, you know, there's a driving school every corner you turn. What are you doing to check that, and what are you doing to also lighten private, owners?
The issue of, like you said, I could drive myself, is you can't really stop anybody from driving. What we as an agency has done is that we have what we call the Driving School Standardization Program. We are working with states to register driving schools. Once they are registered, we train the instructors. We might not find the effect now, but I think in about a year we'll be able to see that. And the new licensing regime is that if you are going to get a new driver's license as a fresh driver, you must go to an accredited driving school, which has been accredited by the state and by FRSC. We had a training for some of the instructors yesterday. So they come from all over the country, or we do them zonally. We train the instructors. The idea is that if you learn how to drive in Sokoto, it should be the same thing as somebody who learns how to drive in Abuja or in Lagos. And you register your trainees, let me use that word, on the portal. So if I have a driving school, Ojeme Driving School is registered, when I get 3-4 people, you put them on. And you must keep them, you must train at least a minimum of 26 days is a minimum. If you don't go through that 26 days, you cannot process a license. It's not going to happen. Because once you fit in your name, the system automatically flags the training school and the instructor who has to have been licensed. So once that is not there, the process doesn't go beyond that. So that has helped, is helping. Like I said, we had over 100 instructors looking for training just yesterday across the country. And we hope that long term, once we can continue with that, and since we're working with the states, we're sure that in a couple of years, the effect will automatically show in the driving habits of people. That's what we're trying to do, to check this I will drive myself individual. So once we have some basic form of training, it should be the same. But you might be trained. It's still an attitudinal thing. What is your reaction? What is your relationship with the next driver? You want to own the road alone. You are riding a Jeep. So somebody who's driving a smaller car, you don't regard that person. Our attitude is a lot of it. I give an analogy. The road is bad or the road is good. Either way, it will cause a crash if he's on his own. Even with a rickety vehicle or a Jeep, put it on that road and just leave it there. It will cause a crash. The mix is the human being. That is the variable that you cannot determine. Once you put a human being in that vehicle, either on a good road or on a bad road, we have a problem. So we are trying to go back to the basics. Let's train the people who use these vehicles. And then we tell parents, let your children go through the process. Let your child be old enough. We have a lot of crashes within the city center of children who are 14, 15, but they've grown tall, so they want to drive. And then you hold the child and the parents are, we need to also help. Our attitude can do a lot in this thing that we're talking about.
And do we have cases of prosecution of offenders?
Yes, we do.
And if you do have, what publicity is given to those cases to serve as a deterrence, to where would be offenders?
Maybe we don't do enough of that. I agree with you. We have mobile courts sitting about 100 across the country on a quarterly basis. And we have a lot of people who have been prosecuted, people have been charged. But maybe we don't do enough in advertising that. But yes, there are prosecutions that are done, especially on mobile courts. And then most of the states have designated traffic courts for traffic offenses. Yes, there are prosecutions.
All right, let's return to the first point you made, that when we asked also our first question, in terms of your deployment for the Yuletide season. You were talking about your deployment around the various corridors, how your men and women were going to move in the wee hours, or how we're going to have encampment. So what should motorists expect? And then, what will be the complaints procedure, or what should be the reporting procedure, assuming there's a bottleneck somewhere, as you would find anyway during this time?
Complaints procedure, we have a toll-free line. We have a 122 line that's going to be manned 24/7. We have a situation room when those complaints come. But we ask most especially that people should be patient. You have a road where normally you have maybe about 1,000 vehicles moving in a day. You're going to have like 3,000. So that means your travel time is going to change. People need to understand that ab initio. That going to Lokoja will not be the 2-hour trip you're used to. There are more people on the road. So that when there's a bottleneck, just be patient. And I'm sure in 10, 15 minutes, you'll go through it. But you find that you're not patient, you're going through the bush, and then those who have been patient have stayed on the lane, now get upset, and then you're going through the bush and all of that. That if there's a gridlock, just be patient. You'll be sure that our men will be at the other end. And as much as possible, we're going to let you through. We're lucky that the Lokoja Road now, we have a median, so it's going to reduce the issue of lane crossing for vehicles.
How effective is your toll-free number in this period?
Very effective. It's always been. We always had 24/7. People manage 24/7. Even on normal days.
A couple of years ago, you deployed area surveys. Yeah. So what should we expect this time around?
We're still going to have that. The Air Force is also going to avail us an helicopter that can also evacuate crash victims, especially on the Abuja Kaduna Road. We're using the National Trauma Center. It has a helipad, and the NAF Hospital in Kaduna also has a helipad. But we identify those areas that we can land a helicopter in case. But we're going to have the aerial surveillance, and the Air Force has availed us that and the evacuation of crash victims for the period.
The head bridge at Onitsha and Asaba, often, some traumatic point for motorists at this time of year. Any special measures?
Yes, we are camping both at the Abuja, the Asaba end and the Onitsha end. We're also going to deploy motorbikes, both on the bridge and then outside, both in the Onitsha end and that end. Luckily, we had a meeting about 3 weeks ago with the governors of Anambra and Delta, and some measures have been put in place. We've sent two trucks, because that also is a problem. We've sent the 2 trucks to evacuate immediately any obstruction on that road. We're also talking with the military because of the checkpoints at both ends of the bridge, that where the traffic is heavy, they can ease up a bit, and that is going on. But like every other thing, the bridge is not divided. So you find that exactly, people just switch and all of that. And people also need to know that if you have a truck ahead of you, it's not going to move as fast as a smaller car. But what we're going to do for the bridge is to deploy cones to divide the road, so that people can just stay on both sides of the road. We would get there, because the median has been stretched up to the foot of the bridge on both sides. So as it's coming in and leaving, you don't have people crossing lanes. The challenge will be within, and that's why we're going to put 2 bikes on the bridge just to keep people in line and in check. And then if everybody would just be a little bit patient, I think we can have a good Christmas.
All right, thank you very much, Ojeme Orujakbo, Deputy Corps Marshal, Operations Federal Road Safety Corps. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
And on that note, we also want to thank Comrade Kefas Dongoyaro, Director Information Service, National Union of Road Transport Workers. We thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you very much.
And finally, Mr. Wadata Aliyu Bondiga, Acting Director, Directorate of Road Traffic Services of the Federal Capital Territory. We thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. We'll take a break now, and when we return, Nigeria makes final at the African Women's Championship ongoing in Cameroon. When we come back, we'll take a look at that.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogeruola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins.
A king, his throne, his subjects. A chronicle of centuries of conquest, strength, struggle, and victory. A thriving culture. The Nigerian Television Authority presents Benin, Might, Mystery, and Myth. Benin Kingdom, showing on the network service of the NTA.
You know say they don't find crude oil for my pile backyard.
Crude oil.
You know say you like to dey talk.
I am not a perforated clay pot that leaks water.
What I want to tell you, you will not tell anybody.
I am a secret agent. In fact, if you tell me secret now, I don't remember.
Unbelievable! This week on your award-winning comedy series, Professor John Bull, starring Kanayo Okanayo, Mercy Johnson, Queen Wokoye, Yomi Fash Lanso, Oguz Baba.
Udawatina, cost me. Insult me.
There are more means of seeking redress rather than engaging in vilifying, defaming, and vituperative measures as a way of seeking restitution.
Professor John Bull, this Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. on NTA Network, International, and Star Times.
You have udonized my English.
Udonize! I am udonizing you right now.
Over and out.
Welcome to the new speed of life.
All right, you're welcome back. But if you just joined us, it's Good Morning Nigeria, and we're reaching you on the network service of the NTA. Now we're joining our sports correspondent, Musbah Udan Wahab, for a background report to set a tone for our next topic of conversation. That's namely the Nigerian Super Falcons, who are through to the finals of the 2016 edition of the African Women's Cup Championships.
The Super Falcons of Nigeria are one match away from hitting another record at the African Women Cup of Nations. The Nigerian ladies represent a perfect blend of resilience and skills, qualities Nigerian football teams are known for. Notwithstanding shorter preparations and days leading to the competition, the African champions announced their arrival and readiness for their title defense by spanking Mali a whopping 6-0 in the opener in Limbe. BBC's Women's World Player of the Year, Asisa Toshuala, also showed intent of defending her golden boot won in Namibia. She found the net 4 times in the first match.
Oshuala with a one-on-one against the goalkeeper. Oh, it's another goal. The hat-trick is in the back.
In the second match, however, Familiar foes in the guise of Ghana's Black Queens threatened to rock the boat. In a hard-fought encounter, both teams could only share the spoils. The team needed to find its mojo again. And so, when championship first-timers Kenya marched onto the pitch at the opening sports stadium in Limbe, the Falcons soared high.
And a shot from distance, wow!
Qualification from the group stage was sealed with a 4-0 sweeping victory. But then, they had other hurdles ahead at the knockout stage. The Falcons had to dig in deep when they came face-to-face with South Africa. The Banyana were chasing their fourth trophy, and not even the towering stature of the Falcons was going to deter them. A lone goal from Desire Oparanozie, however, gave victory to the Falcons and a place in a record 10th final.
And it's 1-0.
To clinch a record 10th title, they will have to defeat Cameroon, who are also seeking to cast away the shadow of 3 final defeats at the hands of the Falcons. This final is more than just defending a title they hold. It's about history and entrenching not only the name of the players, but also that of their gaffer and country in gold. Coach Florence Omagbemi, who has won the title 3 times as a player, will certainly be hoping for a first trophy as a coach. And the players will have to play their heart out. Perhaps that will facilitate payment of the backlog of their salaries and allowances by the NFF. And then, with one more victory on Saturday, it will be advisable that the tournament be rechristened to Super Falcons Cup of Nations.
Thank you very much, Musba Danwahab, for that background reporting. Joining us to discuss the task before the Super Falcons to win the Nations Cup at Cameroon is Jane Oruma. She's a female soccer sports analyst. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And also we have Joy Okmanachi. She's also a sports analyst. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, let's begin this way. Let's look at the entire championship so far. How would you rate the standard of play?
Is it me?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
All right. Good morning. The standard of play is very high. One thing I've noticed in the other tournaments is the crowd. There's so much about female football. There's an awareness about female football. The standards are high. Everybody has caught up with everybody. Before, Nigerians scored 10 goals, 12 goals, 6 goals, 8 goals. But now they have studied the Nigerian team. We now are doing catch-up with all these other teams from other parts of Africa. So I think we have to sit up now.
But aside from us, let's look at the way that other countries have also played. Just as you said, we're used to see 8, 9, 10 goals, but then we don't see that anymore. There's just through an improvement on all sides.
Yes, there's a lot of improvement because the other countries have watched us play and they have learnt how soccer is supposed to be played in other countries, and they're doing more work because their countries are very supportive of them. Because what they're doing, they have so many tournaments lately. They go for tournaments, they pay their bonuses, they pay their salaries, and they educate the people who are in charge of sports. So the problem now is that when others are going higher, we are just stagnant in everything we do. So we have to change because other people have already learned from how we made it, and now we're stagnant and they're moving up.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Joy Okmanachi. Well, let's get the views of Jane Oruma. I mean, Joy says, look, we are the ones that will now have to up our game. But the records indicate that we remain on top. We have reached the finals again, and we've won the tournament with a record number of times. And others, some persons might say, are the ones who need to play catch-up. What's your take?
I think I want to say, to some extent, we are still up there. Because at the end of the day, we are playing in the finals again. So you want to say it is the same suspects that is in the finals. So if the standard has really improved, you would expect maybe a Senegal playing in the final. You will not expect, it's the same suspect, Nigeria, Cameroon in the finals again. So I think as much as other countries, they are trying to catch up, at the end of the day, it's the same suspects that still end up being in the final and might even win it at the end of the day. So I want to say there's still a little gap between Nigeria and the other teams. Why? you discover that most of the other teams, how many of them are plying their trade outside the shores of their country? We have like 80% of Nigerian girls now outside the shores of this country that are playing currently in this championship. This is the opportunity that other countries, they are yet to get it. So it is the professionalism of these girls bringing it back to the country now that is really, of course, helping us to still remain on top there. So as long as we continue to export our girls abroad to go and get this knowledge of football, I think we'll continue to remain on top there, except other countries begin to get this privilege. But for now, I think the gap is still there.
But how then do you explain what Joy also referred to? In the past, if you went to a tournament, Nigeria could spank their opponents as though it were a netball game. You know, with goals just pouring in, but now the margins are slimmer.
Yes, the margins are slimmer, but at the end of the day, do they win the games? No. Yes, they are able to curtail them we not scoring them 10 goals, 8 goals, but at the end of the day, we still win. You want to expect a competition at the end of the day. Okay, Nigeria is not in the final. Just like I think 4 years ago, we didn't make it to the finals. If it had continued in that trend, you say, okay, Nigeria should not be in the final. Cameroon should not be in the final. It should be a different new set of people that have not played in the final before and let them go on to win it. That is when the challenge really comes up. Stopping us from scoring 10 goals and we end up getting to the finals, I don't think it's yes, to some extent, there's a bridge of the gap, but there's still gap there.
All right, back again to Joy. What, in your opinion, are the factors in what we are seeing our guests put up, quite aside from the challenge that we find from elsewhere on the African continent? Because Jane says, look, a number of our guests are out there now applying their trade, what's a pro league in Europe and perhaps elsewhere in the world. How does that relate to the organization of female soccer back home?
Well, the bottom line here is that the typical Nigerians that we are, you think about country first. You think about making a name for yourself, because you know that if you make a name for yourself, there's a possibility that you're going to get contracts outside Nigeria. And I think the spirit of Nigeria, one thing that brings Nigerians together is sports and football. Especially football. Football for us is our A game. So I know that most people just say, because I listened to Florence, I followed her for years, and I know she has this belief, when you've been in that sector, when you've been playing football, there's a way and a manner you'll be able to talk with the girls because you've experienced what you don't have, you cannot give. So it's so interesting. When I found out that she was going to be the female coach of the Super Falcons, I thought that was the best thing the NFF did, because there is a way she's going to talk to them. And one thing I noticed about the girls is, we have to go win for ourselves. We have to go win for our country, in spite of the lapses we have. Because I was watching some television programs and they kept saying the South Africans played better. Football is not about who plays better, but who wins and who score goals. So we took our chances, we took that chance and we won. So the bottom line here is having that spirit, that mental capacity to be able to say, you know what, in spite of anything, we must win this match. And that is what has taken them from the beginning to the end. In the next, how many years, it's going to be a bit difficult. I know that. Because the bottom line here is, because we do crash programs and we win, next time we might not be lucky. So one thing I want to tell the NFF is that as much as they put emphasis on male football, I think they should put more emphasis on the women, because the women are better for me. It's not because I'm a woman, but I think we have to talk for the women. Because one thing I know is that the NFF and the Federation is not putting in much work into female football. So for what the girls have done and what the girls have been doing, I think we should give them credit and we should put more emphasis on them.
My question actually had to do with having a constant or ready pool of talents.
Okay.
From among whom, you can always recruit to be your A team. That's why I was talking, because Jane earlier was talking about saying our players are out there in Europe. And I'm saying, how do you measure that against the organization of our female soccer league back home? Maybe Jane can speak to that and we'll come back to you.
And like she was saying, the attention on women football here is very, very low. It's very, very poor.
okay, like before they even took off, there were stories of they were not paid and all that. We always have this problem of lack of attention for the women football. So even in the league now, look at the league. How many times do you hear about the women league? Do you know when the league starts? Do you know when it ends? Do you hear the days they play? Now, if the league here is not developed, thank God the ones that are going abroad, they are bringing back their experience and helping the players here to go to tournaments and get the result. But I think there should be more emphasis on our league here. It is these girls, if they do well here, just like they go to tournaments and do well and they get clubs out there and go abroad to go and play. If the league is very if the league is very productive here, I think we will not be struggling to get players. You don't need to start begging players, come, we are going for a tournament and all that. There should be more emphasis in developing our league from the grassroots, from the schools. Let there be school competitions. Let the league be vibrant. Not all this crisis. I want to be the chairperson of the Nigerian league. And, you know, there was a period that we had that crisis. It's going to be this person. It's not going to be that. At the end of the day, there were so much distractions. We have to put more emphasis on developing our league, female football. I always tell people that if we are ever going to win the World Cup between the male and the female team has the opportunity first of going to do that. So if there's more emphasis on developing our female league, I think very soon, very, very soon, we are going to get that result. We are going to get that trophy, the World Cup trophy. Just as they are giving the male team a foreign coach, one day, the truth is that our female coaches, they are doing well, our indigenous coaches, they are doing well. But I think there's an X factor that we need, that maybe if we bring a foreign coach one day for the Super Falcons, we might get our results.
I don't know, Rhoda, Jane and Joy, this is not to trivialize the efforts of our female team whenever they go to the World Cup, but I don't know the basis of Jane's optimism, because each time, Joy, each time they've gone to the World Cup, it's always back with a basket of goals. So how do you explain this optimism? I mean, what's the basis?
This is what I'm saying. You see, when we get to Africa, we're super. But when you get abroad, it's technical. That's the problem. You see, we're too much into, what do you call it? We're too much into, I don't know what language to use now. You know, is it the fire brigade program? We watch these other people in other countries. We watch their leagues. We have avenues to see them play. And that is how it's very easy when your league is good. It's easy for you to get players so that you don't start bringing... They always say that Messi doesn't play well when he plays with Argentina. The problem here is that because most of the people in Barcelona are not Argentines. So the problem here is that your league has to be good. We have to go out. Basically, our coaches have to go out. They have to go for trainings. Yeah. They have to go for seminars. And the problem of allowances, bonuses, salaries, I just think it's every day that's the same issue we have. And I think the NFF has to sit down now and give relevance to the female football, just like what they're doing to the male national team. Because most of the time, you only see the female national team when it comes to tournaments. So I don't expect them to go for World Cups and do well. So the issue here is that we have basic issues. And luckily for us now, we have a woman who loves football. And I know that she's going to fight the same way the men are going to fight. I know she's one woman who is going to fight for female football to get to the level that it's supposed to be. Because I know for the next World Cup, we should do better.
All right, thank you very much, Joy Manachi. But then, Jane, let's look at what's before us, and that's tomorrow. At Nigeria, Cameroon, the finals. When Joy was talking earlier, she said that it's all about winning the game. It doesn't matter how many goals. I knew she was actually making reference to the game against South Africa. Some people think that with what we played there, we might not be able to stand the Cameroonians. It was just, for some people, it was just luck. It was a thing of luck. Yes, you just said it. It was just a thing of luck. Yeah. What we played against South Africa, do you see that as being good enough for us to win the game?
It gave me a source of concern because I sat down, I watched that match very well, and
I was a bit disappointed with the play, but at the end of the day, we got the one goal and we got to the final. Now, going to play the Cameroonians, I think it's going to be a very tough hurdle for us, given that the Cameroonians, we have played them in 3 finals and they all lost. Now they will be playing before their crowd, before their fans. They will not want that to repeat again. But at the end of the day, I think it was just that South African match and the Ghana match was the tough test we got, and we didn't really do very well. I expect that our girls, I saw so much, is it that they were afraid? They were fidgeting on the field there. I was like, this can't be our girls. Not that they cannot do better to what they did that day, but I saw they were confused. As if they were under pressure. And I don't know why they put themselves under pressure. The South Africans were running us down. And I was like, this cannot be our girls. So I expect, on paper, we have everything it takes to beat the Cameroonians. But you know, when it comes to, it's a big rivalry too. The Cameroonians, the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, anytime we are playing, it's a big rivalry. But I think on paper, if we bring in our A game, we have all it takes to win the Cameroonians. These girls just need to settle down and play their game. Forget about the pressure. They will win.
All right, Joy, let's get your take on this.
Well, like she said, I will agree with her 100%. The bottom line here is that one advantage we have now is that Oshoala is not the only person who scores goals. And I'm very happy they're concentrating on her, because I know that if it's going to be a very physical game, that I know it's going to be physical. And I listened to our coach. She said we're going to play our game. We're not going to play anybody's game. If we believe, and we pray for that day that the referee, because most of the time when we play games, the referees are quite biased, and I think the girls should expect that the referee is not going to be on our side. If we play our game, take our chances.
Why did you say that?
I'm sure you've been watching. I'm sure it's home advantage. It always happens.
But it's football. It's supposed to be free and fair. The referees.
Excuse me. Did you watch the game against Kenya?
No, I didn't.
That's it. So you see, I watched the game against Ghana, and I thought that we were supposed to have 2 penalties. But guess what? When you're playing a team, you're playing the team with the referee, because it's what the referee says. That is what's going to be the A game. So the thing here is that...
We have such complaints from time to time. I mean, when Sir Alex Ferguson was manager of Man U, I mean, they would grumble every time.
Yeah, Mourinho grumbles all the time.
Either Man U was beating flat or, or
so that's why, So that's why the coach, because I listened to her, she said, you have to make sure you take your chances. Play your game. Don't play their game. It's because it's going to be physical. Because for me, if I'm a Cameroonian, we've met in 3 finals. You cannot come to our doorsteps again and defeat us on that day.
But besides that, any team like Ghana or Cameroon, whether it's a male or female playing against Nigeria, they are extra motivated.
They have to be motivated. Because you see, the thing here is that you cannot get to the finals and be second. You've worked so hard to get to the finals. So if Cameroon has lost for 3 finals, and the same country, Nigeria, and now you are going to be at your backyard,
all right,
they have to win.
All right.
And I know that we're going to win.
Well, Jane and Joy, after the championship, what next? What should happen in your view?
Would this encourage, if we were to win, would this encourage the local league?
Whatever happens, we are hopeful, but whatever happens, what would be the next steps?
Whatever happens, after all, we've been winning it, and we've won it for 9 times. We're going for the 10th. So whatever happens, we want to see the new girls that went into this competition, apart from the regulars, we want to see them move to and start doing well. We want to see the results trickling down to the league. Let it be a source of motivation to those that are here. Say, okay, my colleagues, they went and won. Let me do well also. Let me struggle and make sure that the next time there is a call, I'll be among those that will go and represent the nation. So I want to see it trickle down to the league too.
All right. right, thank you very much.
I think Joy is itching to say something.
Yes, you see, one thing is that we keep saying it. They have to go, whether they win or whether they lose, but I know they're going to win. We're going to be rooting for them here. I think we should change the way the country looks at female football, because if we're putting as much as we're putting for the men, the women are going to go far, and basically it is our league in Nigeria that has to improve.
All right, thank you very much, Jane Orume. She's a soccer expert. Thank you very much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thanks for having me.
And also Joy Panachi, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be here in Nigeria and we'll be rooting for the Super Falcons tomorrow, and I hope everybody will be watching.
Yes.
But just before we have some tweets that are coming, and we'll just take them before we round a sign off.
All right, we have this from Chika Ugo tweet saying Cameroon can't stop the Super Falcons from lifting this decade trophy. That's the trophy for the 10th time.
And this one is from Sani Michael Imokoji, said, those girls look enterprising and determined, hence not even Cameroon plus South Africa combined can stop them.
Ortega has this tweet, the achievements of the girls thus far call for national celebration. Indeed, they brought honor to us. We are proud of them.
And we have Abraham Victor. He tweets, the Super Falcons are outstanding in their performance. My fear is the discouraging approach of governments towards sports in Nigeria. And those are the tweets we have right now.
Okay, but let's move on now to still more sports. We have stories still on soccer, that's beach soccer, as well as the Men's World Cup in Russia 2018.
Super Eagles head coach Gernot Roy has stated that he will be paying serious attention to next year's Africa Cup of Nations in Gabon. Despite the Super Eagles' absence in the tournament, the Super Eagles' opponents in the qualifiers for the 2018 World Cup, Cameroon and Nigeria are among the teams that will participate at the 2017 AFCON. Speaking in a video interview posted on the Super Eagles official Twitter and on Thursday, Coach Gernot Roy said they were planning a series of friendly games for the team.
We're happy that the public is coming to have a positive look on the Super Eagles team. And we know that it's a long way to go to Russia. Another 4 games, another 12 points to distribute. So we are humble, we are happy, but we are very humble.
And chairman of the local organizing committee of the Lagos 2016 Africa-based Soccer Cup of Nations, Seyi Akiwumi, said on Thursday that the committee is all set to host a tournament that the All Africa will be proud of. Akiwumi, who is also first vice president of the Nigerian Football Federation, assured that a lot of work has been done by the committee to guarantee that Nigeria will set a marker for future host of the Continental Beach Soccer Showpiece. The tournament, scheduled for Eko Atlantic Beach 13 to 18 December, will see Nigeria, Egypt, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire playing in Group A, while the defending champions Madagascar tackle Morocco, Libya and Senegal in Group B.
All right, welcome back. And on the foreign scene, Ban Ki-moon apologizes for UN's role in Haiti cholera outbreak. Plus, Donald Trump to nominate retired General Marine Corps James Mattis as Defense Secretary. Yemi Ajayi has more details of that.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has apologized for the first time to the people of Haiti for the international organization's role in a deadly cholera outbreak that has killed more than 9,300 people and infected over 800,000. According to numerous independent experts, cholera was introduced to Haiti by infected Nepalese UN peacekeepers sent to the Caribbean country after the massive 2010 earthquake. Cholera, a disease that is transmitted through contaminated drinking water and causes acute diarrhea, is a major challenge in a country with poor sanitary conditions. The UN reiterated its rejection of claims that it is also legally responsible for the damages from the health emergency. And now to the United States, the President-elect Donald Trump has said he will nominate retired General Marine Corps James Mattis to be his defense secretary. Mattis, who is also known as Mad Dog and renowned for his tough talk, retired in 2013 after serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. His appointment would be another indication that Trump, a Republican, intends to steer U.S. foreign policy away from Democratic President Barack Obama's increased reliance on U.S. allies to fight armed groups and to help deter Russian and Chinese aggression in Europe and Asia.
In an exclusive interview with Arts and Entertainment, King Wale Man shares his first experience in the music industry and how he's evolved over these years with a unique genre, high life calypso. Abdul Malik Adiu has more details on our Arts and Entertainment.
His love for music started at a tender age in Kano, where he worked with the Angel Band before moving to Lagos to join the famous Air Force Band in the early 80s. Wale Johnson of the Weekend Rendezvous fame prides himself of a unique genre of highlife calypso, an offshoot of highlife which originated from the Gold Coast of Ghana.
High life is the basis of all music. Understand me? Music itself has no ending. Different kind of rhythm continue to come out every day, but all still is all those things are extracted from high life.
Wildman says Rome wasn't built in a day, hence the need for artists to learn how to play music instruments and songwriters to embed their lettering with happenings in their environment in sharing the true African experience in their songs.
If you don't need to shoot video and bring a woman that will be wearing pants, understand me, for the music to sell. You don't need to design yourself, design your hair. It is the voice on your brain that will play the music.
Presently working on a song that promotes tourism and relaxation, King Wildman says his fans are in for a treat with his upcoming video.
Yeah, Moretti, my darling, Moretti, my honey, Moretti, Ololufemi, Moretti, Kiletomo. All right, that's, is it Wildman, Whaleman, or Waleman?
Waleman.
That's a good one there. Let's move over now to the Meteorological Agency to check out the weather prospects for the rest of today.
Hello and welcome. I'm Safia Hassan Yunusa with your weather forecast for Friday. Fresh dust has been raised from the south region, which is expected to advance into the country to affect the northern part in the morning. The central state will be sunny and hazy, while the southern cities will be in cloudy conditions, except areas around Port Harcourt, Yenagoa, and Calabar, where localized thunderstorms are anticipated. Further into the day, more dust is expected to enter into the country to give rise to moderate dusts, while areas around Oshogbo, Ado Ekiti, Akure, Ibadan, and the coastal city should expect isolated thunderstorms. And for our temperature forecast, please stay tuned.
All right, and that's it on Good Morning Nigeria today, and indeed for this week. Just make sure you stay alive and stay safe. It's a season of celebration, and it's not a time to play unsafe. So make sure you stay safe. And that's it. Thank you for watching. The program returns Monday morning at 7. I'm Rhoda Obo. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I joined Rhoda in thanking you for being with us today. So enjoy your weekend. Before then, of course, have a pleasant day.